Before we begin, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Which city and which country? I love seeing our community from all around the world come together to hear these forgotten stories of World War II. Now, let's begin. In 1944, inside a dusty POW camp in Kansas, a German prisoner did something that shocked every guard and every prisoner who witnessed it. He stepped between an angry group of German POWs and an American officer they wanted to kill. He had every reason to stay silent, every reason to walk away. But instead, he risked his own life to save the life of an enemy. And the truth behind why he did it would remain hidden for half a century. This is the forgotten story of Wilhelm Kruger, the POW who broke every wartime rule to protect a man he should have hated. Most stories from World War II speak of battles, victories, and losses. But hidden inside camp records, Red Cross archives, and personal diaries are stories of unlikely humanity moments where compassion broke through the noise of war. Today's story is one of the rarest of them all. Wilhelm Kruger was 38 when he arrived in the U.S., older than most POWs. Calm, quiet, he never raised his voice. Captured in North Africa in 1943, he was sent to Camp Concordia, one of America's largest POW sites. Other German prisoners often treated him with suspicion. He didn't brag about serving in the army. He didn't praise Hitler. He didn't complain endlessly. He didn't fight. He simply worked, wrote in a leather notebook, and kept mostly to himself. Some POWs whispered, "He's hiding something." And they were right, but no one understood what not yet. The American officer in charge of Wilhelm's work detail was Lieutenant Thomas Reed, a strict but fair man from Ohio. He believed POWs should be treated humanely, a stance not all guards shared. While some American guards disliked Germans, Reed never raised his voice, never insulted prisoners, and never abused his position. He believed that how you treat your enemy says more about you than about them. At first, Wilhelm avoided him. Then something unexpected began to happen. Whenever Reed walked through the work area, Wilhelm would straighten up, work harder, and glance at him with quiet approval. Other POWs noticed. They didn't like it. By late 1944, the POW camp was divided into two groups: younger, radical POWs who still believed in Nazi propaganda, and older, exhausted POWs who just wanted the war to end. Wilhelm belonged to neither group. He stayed neutral, something that made radicals furious. One night, several younger prisoners confronted him. "You don't support the fatherland. You work too well for the Americans. You respect the enemy." Wilhelm simply replied, "War ends. Life goes on." But the radicals didn't want peace. They wanted loyalty. And they wanted to punish traitors. The tension in the camp grew dangerous. One cold evening, Wilhelm noticed shouting near the supply shed. A group of German radicals had surrounded Lieutenant Reed. The officer had caught them stealing tools for a planned escape, and now they were furious, cornering him, pushing him, calling him names. Reed tried to calm them. "No one is being punished. Let's talk." But they didn't want to talk. And there were no guards in sight. The moment was seconds away from turning deadly. Wilhelm watched from a distance. He had a choice: look away, or step into danger to save a man who was technically his enemy. No one expected what he did next. He walked straight toward them. The German radicals snarled, "Kruger, go away. This isn't your fight." Wilhelm stepped between them and Reed and said calmly, "You touch him, and you answer to me?" The radicals laughed, and one of them asked, "Why do you care about an American officer?" Wilhelm stared at Reed, then back at them. "Because he is a better man than any of you right now." Silence. The radicals stepped back, not because Wilhelm frightened them physically, but because his moral authority was undeniable. Reed, still shaken, whispered, "You just saved my life." Wilhelm nodded. No, Lieutenant. You saved mine first. Reed didn't understand the words then, but he would 50 years later. After the attack, the camp launched an investigation. Radical POWs were isolated. Security tightened. Reed personally thanked Wilhelm, but Wilhelm always avoided long conversations. It wasn't until 1994, half a century later, that the truth finally surfaced. After Wilhelm died in Germany, his daughter mailed Lieutenant Reed a small package. Inside was the leather notebook Wilhelm always carried, and a letter. In the notebook were stories, dozens of them about a life Wilhelm had desperately tried to protect. He had been a school teacher before the war. His students were his world. But when the Nazis demanded loyalty, demanded propaganda in classrooms, demanded he teach hatred, Wilhelm refused. He was arrested, beaten, drafted as punishment. He hated the war. He hated the cruelty. He hated the ideology tearing Europe apart. So when he arrived in America and saw Lieutenant Reed treating POWs with fairness, he saw something he had not seen in years: decency, humanity, the world he believed should exist. And he could not let that kind of man die. Lieutenant Reed read the letter several times through tears. Wilhelm's final message said, "I lived through the darkest years of my life wearing a uniform I despised. But the day I stepped in front of you, I remembered who I was before the war. You saved my humanity, so I saved your life." Lieutenant Reed placed the notebook on his shelf and told his family, "That man was not my enemy. War made us enemies, but life made us brothers, a story nearly lost to time. A reminder that courage isn't always shown on battlefields. Sometimes it is shown in a quiet act of protection between two men who should have hated each other, but chose instead to save one another." Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please give it a like and subscribe for more forgotten stories.